I have to say, I'm really looking forward to today's episode, although the fact that we are $100 million in debt still does scare me a little bit. But last episode, we start off the season 5-1. Things are looking good. Of course, there were all the moves to kind of rebuild this team on the fly and go younger, and so far that's paid off. But we do have a couple of things that I want to get to before we continue onward. Now, last episode as well was highlighted by the N'Keal Harry breakout and the potential breakout for Lionel Hill, which is who I want to start with because I am on board where it would be great had we gotten the upgrade with him, and I really wish we did. Having a superstar 22-year-old would be great. I think he'll still get there. The bottom line is we didn't complete the challenge. We didn't. I still really want to upgrade him, but we didn't complete the challenge. We did, however, complete the challenge for N'Keal Harry, and I left it up to you guys. Do we bump him up to an 88, which I did, or an 89, and do we give him X Factor? And, I mean, the consensus was, 88 X Factor. That's where we're leaving him for now. So N'Keal Harry has gone X Factor. Again, we got another 3 years or so out of him before we have to worry about him starting to decline. So, thankfully, he was our Cooper replacement, although he and Cooper as a 1-2 punch would probably be better. And that brings me to where we are right now in terms of where this league is when it comes to breakout players. And I think it was Garber who brought it up. Hopefully I remember to put your comment up. But in terms of what positions should be boosted in terms of training XP, quarterbacks, maybe not. Although if you look, aside from Dawson, there is one quarterback who's an 83 or higher that's come out of the draft. Now, of course, 83 represents a pretty damn good quarterback, but you see how many veterans are still here, or guys that are now veterans. I mean, Baker's been in the league for 6 years, Watson 7, Lamar now up to 6 as well. So I can't help but think in terms of training XP boost, maybe we go with a, and this isn't to help me out, but this is, I don't know, maybe quarterback we don't do anything, because if you look here, it looks like the top end for quarterback is now slimmer, but the low end quarterbacks, that standard is a little bit higher, having left the training up to 100%. But the positions that left it open for a debate would be running back, where again, you still have some top-notch running backs, but they're all already established players, where again, if you look at the first computer-generated guy, it's Moses Gibson, who's an 81. So eventually these guys are going to fall off, and it's kind of the same discussion with quarterback. Eventually, Andrew Luck, obviously, we started this, and I've said it numerous times, he started this series before he retired. But, eventually Baker, Watson, Jared Goff, Mahomes, they're going to start falling off. It's basically the conversation of, do we bump up the development for some of these guys? I think fullback-wise, it's fine, right? Martin Graham, Isaac Page, that's cool. You get a couple of really solid fullbacks, and then the rest are kind of average. That sounds about right. Although it might be cool to bump it up a little bit. I think it'd be cool if Isaac Page turned into like the next Mike Allstott for the Bengals. That'd be pretty cool. But wide receiver-wise as well, that's definitely something that needs to be boosted up. And again, I talked about this when I went in to try and find a receiver to trade for. The top wideout from a draft is Lamont Way, who's only an 81. Tight end-wise, just to take a look, because I want you guys to have this info here, because I think we are going to be bumping up the training boosts just a little bit. Like I said, tight end-wise, it's solid. But in terms of top computer-generated options, it's Walter Clements. And, of course, we picked up Gerard Baldwin, who is one of the other top options. So I think overall, like I said, the low-end talent in the league is a little bit better in terms of the standard. But you're not seeing a ton of top-notch options. Josh Shields is the best computer-generated left tackle in the league right now. At an 80... I don't know. Left guard-wise, the top computer-generated option is Cecil Lynch, so you have an 82 and an 81 with Eduardo Roman. At center, top computer-generated option thus far in the series is Kerry Young at an 81 overall. Right guard, we have James Landry at an 85, so it really goes to show you how good our O-line is by the standards of this league. And then at right tackle, the top computer-generated option's Matt McIntyre, so our O-line's actually phenomenal. But it's the question of, do we want to see higher overalls here, which we probably do. And it's at the point, too, where someone like Joey Bosa is not really going to benefit from it because he's already 29. This is about getting the guys coming out of the draft up to a higher level. Sammy Kirby's already the highest computer-generated left end in the league. He's a rookie. That's insane. And then right end-wise, we're looking at Mitch Collins, but Lionel Hill, had we beaten that challenge with Lionel Hill, he'd be the top computer-generated right end in the league already. So I think just in general, not just for running back and wide receiver, it's probably a good idea to bump it up. I mean, Clinton Tuckett at 85 is the top computer-generated option. On the outside linebacker spots, we might as well go through all of this. Alan Silas at an 85, that's not too bad. He's also an X factor. So, I don't know. I'm going to leave it up to you guys in terms of how much do you think we should kind of bump this up by with each position, or should it be universal changes? But I'm definitely on board with bumping up the XP sliders. Again, I leave everything to 100 by default. I mean, I don't know if 125 is too low. Maybe 150. Hell, I don't even know. Is 200 a bit too much? I haven't messed around with XP sliders at all. I know, Garber, in your comment, you said you bump up running backs and wide receivers by 15%. I don't know what kind of results you get from that. But let me know what you guys think. I definitely think I'm on board with the idea of bumping that up through the rest of this series. Just don't know by how much. So with that topic of conversation out of the way, let's see if we can finish simming this season. I want to be ready for the playoffs heading into the next episode. So again, re-sign-wise, not much we can do, unfortunately. It's just, we gotta wait to hope that we make some money back. So a deep playoff run would be pretty damn nice. We currently have that running back scout, which, you know what, for the hell of it, let's see. I mean, there's a couple of decent options there, to be honest. This is, damn, that's actually looking okay. I don't think we're going to scout any third round guys, but that's interesting, at least, that there are some options that could be interesting. And I am actually going to scout all of the fullbacks. Typically can be a bit of a waste, but I want to take a look for the hell of it while we're here. So at 5-1, we host the 4-3 Seattle Seahawks, the new home for Josh Gordon. I don't know what the hell happened there. I mean, rumors of him just not being a good fit for the Patriots culture or whatever, which, I don't know. I feel like that could come back to haunt him. Fuck, this could be the Super Bowl come February. I wouldn't be surprised. And honestly, I'd be scared as I was the last time they played up until overtime. Let's see what happens. Can we move to 6-1 on the season? Yes, we can. 10-7. I never would have expected that low scoring of a game. A defensive battle. That is insanity. I never would have expected the scoring to be that low between two teams of that caliber. That's crazy. 10-7 final. We were held to under 300 yards. They had 303 in total. No turnovers for us. They had 1. Time of possession, just about even. I mean, a minute's difference. Stat-wise, they still have Russell Wilson. He had a pretty rough game, sacked twice. Chase Dawson wasn't that great either. Taylor Spencer, of course, our main running back at this point. I just wonder, like, just defensively. It's just a battle. An absolute battle. But we did walk away with the victory. We made a decent amount of money there, but I don't know if we're going to be making enough to make things happen for us here. I am honestly afraid that financially we could be in a little bit of trouble here. I'm pretty concerned. Time will tell. There's still a long way to go in this season, but when we have to re-sign one of the top O-linemen, I mean, Will Lutz, Trent Taylor, I'm not that concerned about. I mean, the main guy we're concerned about here is Kerry Young. Hopefully we'll have the money to be able to re-sign him further on down the road in this season. Fullback-wise, let's hurry up and get that scouting done. There's a couple of guys that could be brought in to replace who we already have. Again, wide receiver already done. Tight end-wise, even though we have, and I know we don't have a defensive back scout, and that's where we were scouting, and we're still going to finish scouting there. Even though we we traded for a tight end, I'm still going to bring on Moose, and we're going to see if there's a tight end worth drafting in this upcoming offseason. Just in case, especially, too, if we're going with the training boosts. Now, unfortunately, it's not looking like the deepest pool of tight ends. Alex Samuel, certainly not looking that bad as a receiving option, but there isn't that much there. So, you know what, let's go back to scouting the secondary. Again, it's our biggest need. There wasn't a secondary-specific scout, but we will take care of this. And if I'm not mistaken, we were not done, and indeed we're not done in terms of scouting corners, and it was a weak-ass class. Still gonna look here and hope. Oh, my God. Oof. All right, well, that didn't work out. Russell Marsh might end up being decent. Obviously, it's going to be very costly from a point perspective as we head to Buffalo to take on the 3-4 Bills. We have a pretty damn big point advantage or overall advantage. Whether or not that leads to any success, let's find out. Can we beat the Bills in Week 9? Yes, we can. So we're up to 7-1 on the season. Huge win on the road against the division rival. We get upgrade points out of this. It's Ricky Sparks, who will be up to an 81 overall, playing like an 82 due to morale. Very happy to have seen him develop. He's 24. He's superstar. He's the 8th rated linebacker. It's crazy. J.K. Scott as a punter. Let's get a bit more power. He's back, I think, back up to a 76. I think he started to regress a little bit. And again, kickers and punters, he's only 27, though. Was he? I swear he was a 76 before. And Solomon Crosby will make better as a deep threat. He's up to a 75. Again, a big risk to pick him up and try to get him to develop. He is a superstar. He'll benefit a lot if we do ultimately bump up the training boosts. Again, everybody, every team suffers from these guys being lower overalls. It wouldn't just exclusively help us out. But I do feel like, you know, despite the fact that, you know, they kind of changed things to have people, you know, have lower overalls this year. They wanted the top-notch options to be top-notch and everybody else to be that, you know, clear step below. I still think it'd be a bit more interesting to have those higher overalls as we get ready to host the 5-3 Titans. We have a decent 8 overall point advantage. They do not have a single superstar. They do have middle linebacker Brock Allen, who came out of the draft, though. Let's see what we can do. Is it an 8-1 record that awaits us? It is not. We lose by a field goal, just our second loss of the season, as Eduardo Roman continues to be on his way to being the top left guard in the league. But the Titans beat us by a field goal. I can't help but wonder if that was in overtime. Let's take a look. I know I haven't taken a look at the stats for every single game. Of course, we'll see the stats for, you know, the entire season at the end of this. It wasn't an overtime. It makes me think, though, they won it right at the death. So, Ridgeway was involved in a throw. Only one? Indeed, only one, but he completed it. So, interesting. Mariota, 4-touchdown game. Bit disappointing to lose to the Titans. We are still 3 games clear, though, of the Jets. And in the league, where do we stand? We are the second best team in the league. So we do fall behind the pace that the Bucks are currently on as the top team in the NFL. But yet again, we find ourselves right up towards the top alongside the best of the best in this league, which is where we want to be. As, wow, there's actually very few safeties to look at this year. As we nearly finished scouting everybody, Parrish Wynn looks like he could be an absolute monster. As we'll get ready here to play Jacksonville. 7-2 against 2-7. Duval not looking that good. They're decent though, 76 overall. But this should be a win for us on the road. Can we get back to our winning ways down in Jacksonville? Yes, we can. We absolutely crush the Jags 35-7. That sets us up with another game against the Bills as Terrell Godfrey is even better. We will... what do we want to focus on here? I mean, he's 23. He's an X factor. I don't know if I can get him to be a scheme fit. Let's just make him better. He's up to an 86. Then again, when we actually got to play with this defense, he was unreal. Absolutely unreal. Reinforcements and unfakeable as his X factor and ability at the moment. And let's finish scouting. So again, you look at the funds right now. I don't know if we're going to be able to bring back Young. Hopefully I can still get him as a franchise tag. That's looking like the only way it's going to happen. So linebackers, D-line, and O-line. That is what we are looking at here. And I think the O-line will probably... I don't even know what the hell we should scout. It's pretty ridiculous because, again, we have Shields, we have Roman, Young, Landry, and McIntyre. That's insanity. Our defensive line is so young and so good. And then the linebacker-wise, I mean, I suppose a Miles Jack replacement. Just in case. Actually, yeah, that's what we should look at here. As much as I'm worried about potentially losing Kerry Young, we need to focus on a potential Miles Jack replacement, which might come from free agency, which, of course, Miles did himself, or might have to come from the draft. We do not have a linebacker scout. We do not have an offensive line scout. So that sucks. We might as well just hold off on signing a scout then for now. So it's going to cost a lot of points, but we will focus on linebackers next, just in case there is another can't-miss prospect in this draft, which there very well may be. You know what, screw it. We'll even scout the guys projected to go in the 7th. Don't expect much there. And much we did not find. So there you go. We host the 4-6 Bills. Can we win our 9th game of the season? We can't. So we've lost 2 out of our last 3. As we head down to Miami, we're at 8-3 on the season. Still 3 games clear. So no doubt in my mind that division title's ours. We're still keeping pace with the best in the league. I mean, we are one of numerous teams right now with an 8-3 record. And in the AFC, we're in a 3-way tie for the top record in the conference next to the Colts and the Ravens. So despite losing 2 out of our last 3, we are still in a pretty damn good spot. The funds are looking a hell of a lot better too, thank God. But there's no way we're going to be able to make up that amount of money. I can't believe it actually let me sign the quarterback, Dawson, to the deal that we did. It's such an outrageous contract and cost us so much. But, hey, it let me do it, thankfully. I mean, that would have been... maybe the franchise tag would have been the way to go. It at least would have been a little bit cheaper. As upgrades, Lionel Hill does get an upgrade point. Again, he could go superstar by the end of this year, even without us getting that moment for him earlier in the year. It just would have been, what if we pushed him up to superstar when we did? Like I said, I simmed to halftime without controlling him because I was hoping that the AI would have been able to just get the job done without me having to play. And unfortunately, that didn't happen. And then, if anything, me playing might have been more detrimental because, sending blitzes and everything, it honestly might have hurt. We might not have allowed as many yards and might have completed the challenge had I never really stepped in to do anything. Quickly, finances. Finances. Again, there's not much I can do. All of these are at the most expensive good value option, which is what I normally do. Again, it's kind of the approach of it's making the most amount of money with people buying the most amount of each item, as opposed to people buying less but it being more expensive. So yeah, there's nothing I can do. I just gotta hope that strategy can recover a lot of money moving forward. We play the 3-8 Dolphins, and we get back to our winning ways. So 500 football over the past 4 weeks, as we are still 3 games clear of the Jets. We play them in Week 17. We'd have to really slip up here for that game to be overly interesting. More upgrade points. Taylor Spencer at running back. He's up to a 78. I think, in general we made the right call, but when we upgrade, my God. Oh my God. Yeah, we made the right choice. I love Sony Michel. That was the right choice. Jesus, man. He's going to be unreal. And especially, too, once we bump up the training boosts, he's going to be that much better. Jawan Bentley back up to a 77, or at least up to a 77 for the first time. I think I'm confusing, his new rating from the most recent update. Oliver Sheffield up to a 74. Love to have him as our second choice power back option. He's still a star at 23 years old. We get ready to play the 7-5 Chargers. A win here, I mean, would really be a statement at this point, as we are still towards the top of the conference. So just get rid of all those remaining points there. Let's see what we can do, although first things first, they're overall 76. But that defense, Derwin James, Joey Bosa, I actually tried to acquire Derwin James. It didn't happen, which is why we moved that corner over to safety, and clearly he's been fine this season. Let's do this. Can we get a gigantic win here against the Chargers? No, we cannot. We get blown the hell out. 42-7. I don't even think we have to look at the stats. I think that's pretty straightforward. Their defense shut us down. That is worrisome, but I'm still feeling all right. It's just our fourth loss of the season. I mean, maybe when I look at guys like Reggie Choice and Gerard Baldwin, who we, of course, just recently picked up, and I see them improving and looking pretty damn good, I'm not as scared. Holy hell, Baldwin. Ridiculous upgrades for him. That's obviously one of the worst losses we've ever seen this team take over the entire duration of this series. So it's a little bit scary in that way, but I can't help but think we'll be okay. I think we'll be able to shrug that off and hopefully get back to our winning ways sometime soon, as we will take a look and scout these outside linebackers. And I really shouldn't have wasted that point. There we go, I can do that. Those two are looking good. Lincoln Dyson and Connor Wakefield, both looking pretty damn solid. So we take on the 3-10 Dolphins. We are now just 2 games above the Jets. So, I mean, technically, that Week 17 matchup could be that much more important if we fail to beat Miami here at home, which we did not. We win 21-14. That should seal, and does seal, another division title for the Patriots. We are currently in a 4-way tie for the second best record in the NFL at 10-4, currently sitting in third. The Colts at 11-3, though, are ahead of us in the AFC. Just a little bit concerning, but we are playoff bound yet again, which in my opinion is huge. I mean, yes, this team's still good on paper, but to get rid of Abukum and Sony Michel and some of these other higher rated guys, to let the youth take over, and for the youth to still make sure that we make the playoffs, that's gigantic for us. As Kerry Young's going to make it up to an 82, he's going to be that much more expensive, which means I don't know if I'm going to be able to afford him. That quarterback contract might absolutely ruin us in certain ways. And let's see, middle linebackers we were already done, so back to the right-hand side, where we really don't have that many players, unfortunately, and good players outside of Josh Isaac from Notre Dame are a bit hard to come by. So there we go. We will focus on the O-line starting next week. I mean, we've been able to scout pretty much everybody that we've wanted to. We take on the 7-7 Cardinals. We need a win to try and keep pace with the Colts atop the AFC, and we get a win, 27-17, setting up this Week 17 matchup against the Jets, who are at 8-7. They're battling to stay above 500. Sammy Kirby improves. He's up to an 82. Unbelievable. What a draft pick he proved to be, the 21-year-old superstar. Oh, I love it. I love it. Again, I love the majority of sports games franchise modes, but I've had so much fun in Madden this year just building up dominant defenses. It's my favorite thing to do. I think it is. It is probably my favorite thing to do. As let's take a look at all these O-linemen. Good God, Keaston Crawford is going to be a bit of a beast. The rest of these guys, not so much, unfortunately. So let's do this. Our final game of the season. Do we still have a chance to win the conference? We do. The Colts haven't clinched yet. So if we win and the Colts lose, we're going to take the conference. Otherwise, they would have clinched it already, I suppose. Yeah, because if we finish at the same record of 12-4, they would have already had the X. So we still have a chance. The Saints battling for the top record in the league. They are already the kings of the NFC. So let's do this. Will we have a conference title as well? We will not. We didn't hold up our end of the bargain. We lose to the Jets. Have to wonder if maybe the coach sat some players. We get some upgrade points as well. But the Colts take the top record in the conference. Not ideal, but I can accept it because at the very least, we are back in the playoffs yet again off the back of winning another division title. I think most years, an 11-5 record, it's still, again, damn good for what this team lost heading into this season. So I can't really be all that upset. As Josh Shields improves as well. He's up to a legitimate 81 overall. Awareness and strength boosts. And Ben Monroe, who we moved over to safety, he's done pretty well for us this year. He's now up to a 76 overall. And again, we have all the draft picks in the world. We have a stockpile that we can use to our discretion whenever we choose to do so. We are good to go there. Down to 62. Negative 62.7 million. That's going to be a problem. But there you see, this team still looking damn good. Let's take a look around the league, and we will be set up for the playoffs next season. So the AFC North goes to the Ravens. The Browns missed out. Made the Super Bowl last year. No playoffs for them this year. Out of the South, you have the Colts and the Titans. Out of the East, of course, we were the only team to make it. And out of the AFC West, you have the Chiefs and the Chargers. In the NFC North, the Bears make it. Out of the South, the Saints and Bucks. And out of the East, Cowboys, Giants, and the West, the Rams. So we were fourth in the league, one of numerous teams to finish with an 11-5 record on the year. Worst team in the league, the Oakland Raiders. They are still in Oakland because I think I turned off relocation, if I'm not mistaken. So a quick look here. Let's take a look around the league. Team stats. So what do we have? So total offense, we were up there. One of numerous teams to finish with over 7,000. Total offensive yards, we were up there as well. Passing yards, we were the top team in the league by a decent amount over the Chargers. Rushing yards at 1,300, one of the lower end, but not exactly at the bottom. And in points per game, we were fifth with 27.4. 34 passing touchdowns on the season was up there, but not quite at the pinnacle. And rushing touchdowns this year, it was somewhere mid-table, 18. That's not bad. The running game is actually a little bit better this year, which is shocking. First down-wise, we weren't towards the high end of the spectrum. Defensively, total yards allowed, we were somewhere mid-table. Passing yards allowed, we weren't towards the peak there either. Second fewest rushing yards allowed, not that bad. We allowed 348 points, which was towards the bottom. Quarterback sacks, we were up there with 43. 6 fumble recoveries, which was up there as well. And in terms of total interceptions, somewhere mid-table. It's not that bad. Let's take a look at the individual player stats. Robert Raft, now up to 9th in the leaderboard. Let's see what we have here. So Chase Dawson, 4,400 yards, 33 touchdowns, and 11 picks, a bit weaker than he was last year, which you could chalk up to the receiving core being a bit weaker. The O-line is certainly stronger, but I don't know. I can't really compare. He was 46-6 last year, 33-11 this year. It was a regression. But if you look at what he's accomplished so far in his career this year, he's certainly been better over the first 2 seasons. Granted, his rating was a bit better there. He's been strong. It's his weakest touchdown total since he joined the league. But it's still 33 touchdowns on the year. I'm not that upset. Rushing-wise, Taylor Spencer, 854 yards with 7 touchdowns in his rookie year. Sheffield, 10 touchdowns. He is a goal line beast. And Chase also had a rushing touchdown himself. Receiving yards, first in terms of receptions, you had Harry and Baldwin both over 90. In terms of receiving yards, N'Keal Harry was just a beast. Baldwin had almost 1,000 as a tight end as well, so taking over for Austin Hooper in a very big way. And then receiving touchdowns on the year, Harry and Taylor with 10 each. Baldwin and Crosby had 3, so maybe that experiment not quite working out. And the O-line, nobody allowed more than 8 which is good. James Landry didn't allow a single sack this year. Holy shit. That's crazy. Defensively, Miles Jack, our only guy to have over 100 tackles, so it just goes to show the defense was relatively solid, or just more people were getting involved, but we had nobody over 100. 11 tackles for loss for Clinton Tuck. Quarterback sacks leader was Ricky Sparks. There you go. Lionel Hill with 7. Our interception king, Jack, Monroe, and Ivy, all with 2. And then kicking-wise, Will Lutz, 17 of 24. Say goodbye to Will Lutz at the end of this year. No, thank you. That's not going to do it for me, champ. Around the league, Chase Dawson led the league in terms of passing yardage. The touchdown king, though, Stephen Locklear for the Giants, who is an 83 superstar at 24 years old. You also had Mahomes up there, Jacoby Brissett at 35. Most interceptions, Teddy Bridgewater with 17. That's a bit rough. Will Grier is the starter in Detroit. Huh. Wouldn't have thought that. Rushing leader, Ezekiel Elliott, in terms of yardage. Touchdown-wise, it was Saquon Barkley with 16 receptions. The receiving leader, at least in terms of receptions, was N'Keal Harry at 99. He also had the most yardage. Shout out to former Patriot Philip Dorsett. The touchdown king was Kelvin Harmon with 14. On the O-line, you had a couple of guys from the looks of it. Mancuso and Nelson. Where's my dude? Where's my dude who didn't give up any sacks? I call shenanigans. Defensively, the leading tackler, Forrest Tanner, 128. Tackles for loss, 23 for Maurice Hurst on the Raiders. The sack leader, Myles Garrett, and Samson Ebukam thrived in Seattle. And that could be a decision I regret if we make it far enough into this postseason. The interception leader, Kendall Fuller, with 5. And kicking-wise, Dustin Hopkins had himself one hell of a season for the Cardinals. So there you go. That brings this regular season to a close. The wild card round of the playoffs, we have the Titans and Chiefs, Giants, Bears, Chargers, Ravens, Bucks, and Rams. We'll see what happens and see who we are squaring off against next week in the divisional round. We're back in the playoffs, and it's the Kansas City Chiefs, 11-5 against 11-5. Patrick Mahomes leads the Chiefs to Foxborough. We'll also see the Chargers and Colts, Giants and Saints, Bucks and Cowboys, the Elite Eight. That is not who I wanted to see. That is going to be one hell of a challenge, one hell of a hill to climb. But we're back in the playoffs. Now it's time to see what this young group of players can do.